One of the mistakes that I see a lot of business owners and founders especially make is to issue out shares to their co-founders, to employees, to consultants, or to any other person apart from investors without subjecting the shares to what I call an equity vesting schedule. Now, what does the vesting schedule do for the company? Here's what it does. It helps you to ensure that the people who are working with you in your company actually earn the right to their shares by contributing their time and their resources. Here's what happens when you vest your shares, right? The co-founders or the employees do not get automatic access to the shares. They have to earn the right to the shares. And the ideal vesting period is a 4-year vesting and a 1-year cliff period. Now, I know that I said the ideal vesting period is 4 years. However, sometimes you have to think about what your strategy is, what your exit strategy. If you're building a company where you hope to exit within 2 to 3 years, for example, obviously, you need to have a shorter vesting schedule. But if you're building for a longer period, about 5 to 6 years or 7 years, then 4 years is a perfect vesting schedule. However, if your business strategy is to eventually go public, you know that that's something that takes a bit of a time, maybe 9-10 years or more. So you're probably going to have a longer vesting schedule, say about 7 to 8 or 6 years. Now, the implication of having a vesting schedule is that when a co-founder leaves your startup, before the expiration of that vesting period, they don't get to have any other thing apart from what has been vested. And that's why it's important to indicate that there is a cliff period, which is 1 year in which they would need to stay with the company if they want to get at least 25% of their company, of the shares. So it means that if they have 20% equity in your company and you subject it to a 4-year vesting, they are going to earn 25% per year. So they're not getting the entire shares immediately. They will earn 25% of the shares each year. Now, if they do not stay with the company for a complete 1 year, what that means is that they don't get to earn anything. They lose their right to the 25%. Now, if they stay for the full year, they get 25. Second year, they get 50%. If they stay for the third year, they get 75%. And if you stay for 4 years with the company, then we say that their shares have been fully vested. They now have 100% access to their shares. Now, the mistake I say a lot of people do is to go on to quickly incorporate the company with the CAC. And this is why I always say that the first thing to do is not to register the company with the CAC. You first want to speak with a lawyer who understands the whole legal aspect of building a business, to advise you on equity split, to advise you on share vesting, so that you can subject the shares that you're giving out to your co-founders to a vesting schedule. Now, there are 2 types of schedule, or there are 2 types of vesting. There is a time-based vesting and there is a performance-based vesting. The time-based vesting means that you have to stay with the company for a period of time, and that's like the 4 years I mentioned. For performance-based vesting, you're vesting the shares based on certain performance metrics. So it is not about how long the co-founders stay with your company. It's about whether they have been able to meet up with their deliverables. So there are set deliverables. There are milestones to be achieved, right? And you attach the ownership of the shares to that milestones, so that if they're able to meet up with their milestones or achieve their, the goals that you've set for that particular role, then their shares become fully vested. Now, the best strategy, if you want to build a legally structured company, is to have both a time-based and a performance-based vesting together, which means that even though you're saying that you should stay with the company for at least 4-year period, you also want to attach some milestones, some goals to their roles, so that you don't have people who will just stay with the company just for staying sake and say, I have a 4-year vesting, so I can stay and not do anything. No, you're still going to attach it to performance of their goals, so that even though they stay for 4 years and they're underperforming, they're not delivering, they're not meeting up with the target, they're not meeting up with the milestones set for that roles, then they still don't get anything. Now, this is not something you can do on your own, and it's not a words of mouth conversation. If you're building a co-founder startup, please work with an actual startup lawyer. And guess what? The business legal team is here to provide absolute legal support for 3 months, so that you don't make the mistake of splitting equity randomly like a Father Christmas, and also so that you don't issue out shares to your co-founders without vesting them either on a time-based vesting or a performance-based vesting, guess what? We're going to provide all-round legal support so that by the end of the duration of the program, you can actually say, okay, I think I have built something with a solid legal foundation. The link to join the business legal structure is somewhere in this video. So click the link and sign up, or better still, send me a direct message and I'll be glad to respond to you. You would need to jump on a discovery call with us to see if your business is right for the business legal structure program. Now, enrollment for the second batch of the program has started already. By the 1st of March 2024, we're going to be onboarding 50 participants into cohort 2 of the BLS program. Don't be left out. Don't say I did not do anything for you. Join the business legal structure program and enjoy the comfort of having an actual legal support team for your business.